You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, my God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Hey, good day, everybody. Mick McQuillan here, and welcome to Freedom, Health, and Lifestyle Personal Development with a Business Plan. Like I say, my name is Mick McQuillan. I'm here with my good friend Joye, Maka Unga. And of course, look, this is, like I say, episode 138. Plan your way to success. The power of clarity and action. And I'm excited about this one, actually, because we're only going to watch one video. And we're just going to try and break it down. You know, I'm excited to get Joey's thoughts. But of course, it's all about thinking and doing better, because that's what we all want. We all want better. And it doesn't matter what that better is. It doesn't matter whether it's better finances, better health, better happiness, better relationships. Don't care. We all want something better. And hopefully we'll be able to make a plan of action, or at least a plan to get better. Right, okay. So don't forget, like, subscribe, share. Click that notification button. You'll learn when we run, usually around about the same time every week. And again, I want to introduce my good friend, Joey, the $1 Million Difference Maker, Maka Unga, all the way from Sydney, Australia. And it's always a pleasure to have you here, Joey.
Likewise, Mike. Thank you very much. Good day, everyone. Always put a smile on my face when you say that. Unfortunately, what we do is we build millionaire and, people who want to get that amount of blessing in life, because we know it's possible. And that's why we're sharing our story, sharing our experience. and also share the books that help us in our personal growth, because we know for sure if someone can take that information and apply that to their business, their lifestyle, and their personal growth, there is no doubt in our mind that person will achieve what they really want in life. As long, like Bob said, do you really, really want it? Do you want it? And that's the only precondition for having everything that we want in life is, do you really want it? And I think tonight, if you're watching this on live or replay, you are searching for something. And I, myself and Mike McKillen, have the very fortunate to come up with the ideas. Everything in life comes from a idea. And why we're here tonight, because we want to add value. We want to leave a legacy in this world. Sharing this information that change a lot of people's mind, feeling, and also action, and a lot of people result, including ourselves. And that's why we're here. Those people, most of them that we learned from the past, it has been gone now. God bless them, including our mentor, Bob Proctor, and Jim Rohn, and to name a few, Zig Ziglar, and the people who wrote, who inspired and gifted to write books or some materials that help generation to come, and we're so very fortunate to share that, because if we go back in time and ask them a question, what do you really want from us as a student? They're all common denominator of what successful people want to do is to pass it on, to pay it forward to other generation. And I think that's what we do as a great student of Bob Proctor. We are here to carry on his legacy and share with other people his knowledge, his wisdom, and the gift of personal growth to other people's life. So, Mike, thank you for your time. Really appreciate you all the time, and I'm looking forward for our episode tonight.
Yeah, me too, Joe. And just so everybody knows, obviously this is Joey's Facebook page, and let's have a look. Here you can find him here on Facebook at facebook.com/Joey.Unga. And again, you can see him here having breakfast with his son, right? Look at that. I love the idea of that. I love it. And look, obviously we've got this event coming up on May 2nd, the Elevate event. And of course, Joey is one of the speakers here. Don't forget, scan to purchase your ticket if you want to go along and meet Joey in person, and find out just exactly how he's doing the $1 Million Difference Maker program and how you can get involved. Why not? So if you're in Australia, if you're in Sydney in particular, go along, meet Joey. Listen to what all these people have to say. There's some great speakers on here, including Joey, right? It's going to be an amazing event. So go and check this out. You can also find Joey here on his business website. And again, you can find out a little bit more about what he's doing. If you scroll down through this page, you'll see that there is a contact form at the bottom. All you need to do is add your name, your email, your phone number, and let him know the best time to call, and Joey will reach out and get in touch with you as well. So look, that's where you can find Joey. Where else can you find him? Yep, there's his link. The links are in the description, so go and check him out and find out more about what he's doing and how you can get involved. And of course, you can find me here on my website. This is the Academy website where you can start your own business, where we help you start your own business. Best thing about this, you get to keep every penny that you earn. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, listen, just come along, fill out a contact form. I'm happy to talk to you. And just for the record, if I don't think it's going to be the right thing for you, and I know Joey's like this too, we'll be the first to tell you. You want to be doing something that you love. That's the most important thing. Do something that you love. Do something that you're passionate about. Do something that not just inspires you, but inspires those around you. This is important. But listen, what better way to get kicked off than making a plan, right? And that plan could be to phone Joey. The plan could be to get in touch with me. That could be on the top of the list, right? So the thing is, we're going to watch this video, Joe. It's just one video. It's only a short video, but there's a lot of content in it, and I want to go through it with you, Joe, because you're a fan of the plan, do, review system. And of course, Eric Worre, the link again is in the description. I think it may or may not be, I'm not sure. But look, go to youtube.com and search Eric Worre. And he goes through this plan, do, review, and there's lots and lots of great and inspirational interviews on there as well. So, you know, you don't need to be short of ideas. You just need to be short of action. So just take some action. But in this video, I'm not even sure if it's in this video, but action without a plan is just, you know, moving towards failure. You've got to have a plan, right? So, Joey, do you have any thoughts before we watch this video on planning?
No, Mike. I'm just grateful that we are on a journey together. You know, and for those of you that don't know, Mike McClellan is a good friend of mine. He's my inspirator. You know, he's the one who always plant seed on me and, you know, remind me, you know, I have potential. And, you know, I used to do, when I studied Proctor, one of his testimonies, you know, he just follow along the crowd. You know, his friend joined the Navy and he joined the Navy because his friend. But he didn't realize that he have a gift. And because someone like his mentor, Raymond someone, you know, trip on him and said to him, now, you know, if you do exactly what I told you, you will, you know, you will become success. If you read the book that I recommended to you. And you know, my good friend Mike McGill, he inspired me in a different way. He told me that I'm gonna be, you know, going places. He told me that I will speak on stage one day, and he already visualized that. You know, I you know, for me and myself, you know, on the journey and the personal growth, I didn't really believe in myself, but I believe that some people out there are believing in me, including my parents. And Mike McKilling is remind me of my mentor, my first mentor, my dad. And he always told me that one day I'm going to see you on stage. And you know, I'm looking forward for this weekend, Mike. That blessing has been planned. And then we talk about the planning, your way to success. You know, it's very important that you have a plan, whatever you do in life, and then you think about that plan. You kind of cultivate that plan. You know, you water that plan, and also moving forward toward that plan and to some activity toward that. You know, and like myself, I'm a testimony of that. You know, sometimes I take people believe in me until I believe in myself. And then, you know, I look back and I said, I wonder why Mike said that to me, because he sees something in me. And I'm very grateful for you, Mike. So I just want to say that to our audience, because I appreciate you, and also you make a difference in myself and my world.
And there's the
I like that
$1 million
logo.
difference. Make a T-shirt design. Okay, you can get a copy of that.
How much is that now?
I will definitely send you that, Joey, because I think it's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and yeah. So listen, you know, if you want a $1 million difference, make a T-shirt. You know, reach out to Joey, and I'm sure he'll be able to get them printed up for you. You know, why not? Yeah, I love it. All right, good job. And yeah, let's watch this video and let's see what it's about.
Over. Make a plan and make the plan over and over. All successful men and women are successful planners. And how do you make a plan? Simple. A plan is a list of activities. In other words, you just identify from everything that we've talked about, what are the activities that you have to engage in to achieve your goal. And then you organize the list, just like a ladder. You organize the list in terms of priorities and in terms of time. What do you have to do first? What do you have to do second? What's more important? What's less important? And then you take action and get going on your plan and continually revise the plan. Number 11 is visualization. Visualization is worth all of the other 10. Visualization is create a clear mental picture of the goal that you desire. Create a clear mental picture and then imagine or image the result. Get a clear mental picture and see your goal as already realized. See it as a reality and play that picture over and over again on the screen of your mind. Play that picture on the screen of your mind until you can see it with perfect clarity. Design it, draw it out, do whatever is necessary in order to create that mental picture, and then think about that mental picture. Think about your goal as a reality over and over again. Repeat it until you impress it deeper and deeper and deeper into your subconscious. Number 12 is back your plan with determination and persistence.
So, Joey, the last part of that was determination and persistence, and we were talking about that last week, right? We were. But yeah, when we break this down, so you got to have this plan. You got to make out this plan, write it down over and over. Like how do you re-engineer? Do you reverse engineer this, Joey? So you've got your goal. You're starting with your goal. What is it that you want? We've talked about this before. You've got to make that committed decision. Firstly, you've got to decide what you want. What is it that I want? Do you want to buy an island? Do you want to learn to fly a plane? Do you want to have your own private jet? Do you want to, do you want to buy a new house, have a new job? Like whatever, it can be something small. It doesn't have to be huge. It can just be a new job, a better job. It could be to start your own business. Whatever it is, you've got to have this goal in mind or have this thing in mind, and then you've got to make a plan on how you're going to do it, right? And he says you start by listing out the activities that you need to do. Right now, I want you to think about this from the perspective of network marketing, Joey, and the business that you're in network marketing. Like if you wanted to, there's no doubt that the organizations and the different companies in network marketing, they have prizes and different ranks that you can achieve and different things like this. If you were setting out, in your own business, certainly in network marketing, they literally have a plan for you already laid out, don't you? They have a plan laid out for you, and you can choose where you want to get to on that plan. And everybody starts at the beginning, everybody starts at the bottom. And so how do you go about making a list of activities and prioritizing them? We'll get to the taking action part in a minute, but just making a list. How do you go about that? Do you start with the end in mind? Where do you start?
Yeah. I've been through with a few platform learning how to setting goals and also, make plans and stuff like that. And one of the things that come to me that it's common with those platforms, whether it's investing in real estate or building a business, is most of my mentor or sponsor, they have the understanding that you have the ended mining goals, have the ended goals in mind, and then you work backward. So you kind of like know exactly what you really want, like for example, in numbers or maybe the position or rank you want to achieve. And then you look at your position where you are now and said, imagine in 5 years, if I keep this business 5 years, where I should be in. The amount of money, the position I want to in, how many houses I want to accomplish. And I think I share that with my goals in real estate, that when I first started out in 2018, I wrote a goal to myself that I'm going to have 5 or more investment property in my portfolio. Have no idea how I can do it. I didn't have have the money. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the network. I didn't have someone to coach me, but I just wrote it down because this is what I really want. And I give a time frame, and I give 5 years, and I kind of like, sometimes I look at my goal and I said to myself, a boy come from the island, climb coconut tree. How can you able to afford this in a new foreign country? Have no networks, have no skill, have no money, but I wrote it down because this is what I really want. And, and I asked God for a little bit help, and because we all do need, and then you wrote down. I think there's a power in get out of your head into a piece of paper. And that's why a lot of people and mentors, they recommend that you write down the list of the thing that you really want in life. Because as soon that idea comes from your head into a piece of paper, you're in a phase of creating that idea. So there's a power that connects taking out of your head into a piece of paper And that's why it's important to write down a list of what you really want in life, because as soon you write it down, the world, the universe, it's working a mystery way to start attracting you. You start to act, talk, and walk, you know, like you want to be, like what goals you want to achieve. And that's why it's very important that a simple activity like write down your goals and write down what you really want could help you get start your journey in whatever goal you want to achieve in life. So, you know, and it's come like, a lot of people, that's what I noticed, Mike, and I think you can relate to this. A lot of people, they overcomplicate it. Just get a piece of paper, A4 piece of paper, and all you need is a pen and a piece of paper. And Bob said, go to a quiet place. Don't go to a restaurant. Don't go. You can go there, if you really want. Go to a quiet place. Maybe, for me, I have my front yard. I put a little table there, and on under a tree there. And I found every time I go there, I have great ideas. And this is a funny one, Mike. I used to come with a lot of a great idea when I'm in a shower, but it's come with a lot of strange idea, you know. But I find that when I'm on my little garden shed, not garden shed, little front garden yard area or space, I found that not only that I breathe, fresh air, but I have fresh idea coming to mind, and I just write it down. I just write it down. I want to have this. I want to go to this place. I want to travel. I want to, and every time I put an idea, you're gonna never run out of idea, because if you try that, last week we talked about 21 days. Try to practice something in 21 days. um, you know, try to sit down with a piece of paper and write some ideas for 21 days. You will amaze how different and a lot of idea that you have in your head, but you haven't put down in a piece of paper. So to answer your question, is get a piece of paper, get a pen, and just go somewhere quiet and start listing what you really want in life, and what you want to accomplish in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. You will be amazed.
And Joey, you're absolutely right, because even though we don't know how much time that we've got, if we're fortunate to have 5, 7, 10 years more, that time is going to pass. We might as well, be working on something that we want, something that we want to achieve. And I think it does happen quicker than you think. And you're an example of that. It does happen quicker because you have that momentum. Um, and obviously you're developing your belief. And look, so obviously what you're saying is write down what you really want. That's the first thing. Write down what you really want. Get a bit of paper, write down what you really want. And that's key. And now he talked about revising the plan. Now, just taking what you were saying, like if you write down what you really want, and then tomorrow you write down what you really want, and then the next day you write down what you really want. The truth is, every day you're revising it, and it's going to get more detailed, and it's going to, you'll start to develop it. You'll start to create this vivid picture in your mind of exactly what it is that you want. And that's the picture that he's talking about, where he says, imagine the result, draw it out, that, like you're seeing this. But I think it does start with writing down what you really want. Then moving on to, you've got to list all the actions, like how you're going to get it. Now, it says, now in that video, Bob says, you don't need to know how, you just need to really want it, But then you start to look at the how, and from a network marketing point of view, they already know the what to do and the how to do it. They already know what works, and they know what works well. Your job is to prioritize, take action and prioritize, but write down a list of the actions that you need to take. Like when you were thinking, when you made the decision that you were, going to start buying properties, and start doing what you were doing in that sense, you must have need to write a list of, right, okay, where do I start? Who do I talk to? there must have been a list that you had to create, right?
Oh yeah, the simple list that I did was my goal card, and the thing when I wrote there, and I transferred from my goal card to a visual board. I just get a random picture, and I asked my daughter. At that time, I was not very good at the internet. I just asked my daughter to come up with an idea of uh, um, if I want to have 5 property, and he just come up with the idea of 5 houses, like in a craft, from small to big. So I put that idea. So I kind of like transfer my thought from um, writing, to get out of my head into a piece of paper, and then I visualize it in a form of a picture. And I think Bob Proctor talked about it. The idea is it's come to life when we put a picture on it. And when we are watching a movie, that's kind of visualizing. It's like you painted that picture every single day, and by look at that goal card or the list you do every single day, that picture start to getting clear and clear and clear. I didn't like I said, I was having no idea how can I start. I didn't have the resources to where to start. So I kind of like look at my list, my goal card every single day when I wake up, and then before I go to bed. And then I do that every single day. But what I found, every time I look at that, the idea is like, okay, what can I do to find out the information about how to invest in real estate? Then someone called me on the phone when I was on the public transport one day, and asked me, "We're doing a seminar about real estate. Would you be interesting?" And I said, "This is," I said, "Count me in," and I went. So, when I went, what I realized, one thing: when you plant the seed and start cultivating it, you start to attracting the things into your life, the resource, the activity that happen to nourish, to make that um, plan or that vision or that goal come to reality. And then when you talk to people, someone recommend someone recommend a book, someone recommend a mentor, someone recommend a platform, and then just getting better and better and better from that. And I wish I would write down everything, but I was focused. And for a simple, this is for our audience. Well, just keep it simple. You know, um, Keep it simple. Whatever you need or want in life, write it down, then start put them in a picture. Maybe cut a picture that you saw on a newspaper. If you want a brand new car and the car you want, put that picture somewhere. Maybe in the bathroom. Maybe in your ceiling. I think Jack Canfield. Um, he wrote the book, the Chicken Soup or something like that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah. What is
check
it?
check check Canfield or something like that.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he put a dollar note of the amount that he won on his ceiling. So every time he go to bed to sleep, he's look at the bill before sleep, and when he wake up, he look at it. It's there's a lot of way that you can create the image of what you really want in life, and then you start put them in a piece of paper, then start visualizing it. Then you will be surprised. The people you want to talk to make that happen will come to you, and you will attract those people into your life. um I was not in a detail like I want to talk to this person. I want to, I think it's a great idea, but for me, I just otherwise I will be overwhelmed. But I
Mm.
but I keep it simple, like, and I wrote down what I really want. I give a time frame for it, like I give like 5 years. For me, 5 years, and I start attracting the right people, the resources. I start acting on it. If someone invite me to go to an event, I go to that event. If someone recommend me a book, I go and buy that book. And that my life just slowly changed and align with my goals. And we talked about the rocket last week, and it's so true. And it's so true related to what we decided to do in life. If you want to put a goal in life, you won't go in a straight line to get that goal. There's up and down, there's just, left and right. But as long you have a focused goal and discipline yourself from last week and persistent, have faith and keep moving forward every single day. So
Listening to what you're saying there, Joe, right?
mm,
And I'm going to keep it simple. So you're talking about write down what you really want, visualize it, read it morning and night time or whenever you can throughout the day, visualize it. And through that visualization, the thing that you want is attracted to you. Now, now we're not talking about like, okay, so you want a car, then the car just appears. No, right? But people and opportunities that maybe are the stepping stone towards, accomplishing that or receiving that start to appear. So you attract things, you're attracting the right people, the right tools, the right, events, but then you have to act. And one of your actions is to say yes, to go to that, or to have that conversation with somebody about it, or to pick up that book and read it and learn and educate yourself in a certain way. So you're talking about growth, that personal growth, that inner growth, because you don't get what you want, you get what you are. So you have to grow into being that, right? So So what you're saying is write down what you really want, right? Not the, like sometimes we don't write down what we really want, but we just worry about what we haven't got, or we worry about the bills that are coming in, and then we wonder why we just keep getting more bills, and we wonder why, because we're thinking, in a low vibration, we're worried about all this bad stuff that's going on around the world or whatever else, and then we just get more and more misery, right? So you're saying write down what you really want. Don't focus on what you don't want. Write down what you really want. Focus on that. Visualize that. Visualize you having it, and then being open to having conversations when doors open, which are going to take you down that path, which are literally, you're being pulled down that path. And quite often we say no. We say no to the things that we really want. Well, why is that? Is it because we don't think that we should have them? Because we don't think we deserve them? Why is that?
it's funny. Like I like how you're saying that you get who you are. Because that's that you attract things in life because of the person you are. And we have learned in our journey that we attract a lot of people who focus on the bill will attract a lot of people who focus on lacking will there's no improvement in life because that's what I think where you put your focus, your energy and your frequency and vibration into it, unfortunately it will come back to you. And if you are not grown enough to change or to adapt, I think that's the right word, to adapt, you will get caught in the weed. You will drifting. That's another word. You will drifting away from your goals. And I think in journey that we all attract a lot of things in our life because our life is like a magnet. We attract the good that we desire. We attract the bad that we think about it or maybe think about other people. And if you stay focused, write down your goal, stay focused. It's like planting the seed, and you have to stay watering that seed. You can't just plant the seed and leave it like that. And hope and wishes. There's a difference between hope and wishes than actually look after the gift, whether it's the seed that you have. Because I believe when you think about good things in life, that's a gift. You think about something that you really want in life. You have a little gift with you to plant it, to nourish it, to cultivate it, until you get to a point you see the result through your activity, through your work, through your things that you design and act on it to move to where you want to go.
No, no, I agree with you, Joey. I totally agree with you. And I think I think if somebody's out there right now and they're thinking, right, okay, I just don't know what to do. The question is, ask yourself, well, if you did know what to do, how would I do it? And you would start by writing down what you really want. And then you would start by saying, right, okay, if I wanted that, how would I do that? Who would I need in my life? I could, the truth is, Joe, a couple of weeks back, I decided that I was going to change the model of my business. Do you know what I mean? And I sat down, flipped open ChatGPT, and I said, right, this is what I want to do. And what I need is I need a list of service providers that can provide these types of things, this type of software and everything else. And within seconds, I had like a list of all of the top 10, people and companies that create this web software, right? Then I was able to go to each of these sites, have a look at them, compare them, make phone calls, speak to them, get demos and everything else like this, and then I'm able to have more conversations with them. How much is it going to cost? This, because there is a price that everybody has to pay. And whether it's a price of money, where if you don't have the expertise, you're going to have to buy it, right? And that can be in the form of a book. Now, I could learn it, but it will take me years to learn how to do this. So I'm going to have to buy that expertise. I'm going to have to buy it, or steal it, right? I'm not going to do that, right? Because you can't. So there's a price you have to pay. Either you're going to put in the work, you're going to learn to do it yourself, build it yourself and everything else, or you're going to go and find someone with the expertise and you're going to pay them for that information. You've done that. I've done that. And that can save you decades of time, right? So write down what you really want and then figure out how you're going to do it. So you've got to write down, what is it I'm going to need? What do I need? What knowledge am I going to need to do this? What skills am I going to need to do this? And that's why, that Eric Worre website, the YouTube channel, there is so many practical tools and skills that you can learn just for a better life, just for better communications, just for better relationships. Like if you could improve just your relationships, your whole world would improve. Yeah. And in fact, if you could just improve that relationship with yourself, your world would improve. Do you know what I mean? So writing down what you really want is a really good idea, to write down what you really want. But I would even say that you want to write down who you're going to become. What kind of person would you have to be to have that? And then visualize yourself like that. Like in the video that we watch at the beginning and the end of this, Bob talks about that. Act, walk, talk like you're already there. That's part of this process, that visualization, that attracting those people into your life, but you have to become that person,
Yeah.
And be willing to say yes instead of saying no. Like, we say no way too often. Do you know what I mean? Would you like to earn some more money? No. What? Right?
True.
If I could show you how you could make an extra 200 bucks a month, would you be interested? No, don't have any time. I'm too busy at work.
All right.
Like instead of saying yes, we're always saying no. Like,
Absolutely.
would I like a new car? Yeah. Well, why don't you get one? Well, to be honest, it's not a priority right now. Do you know what I mean? I've got other things that I want to do. Like I promised myself that I was gonna replace my car when it got to 300,000. And it's now on about 320,000, and I still don't replace. I just, and I said to my wife the other day, I said, do you know what? I could just go and get that car now. She's like, well, why don't you? And I'm asking myself, well, why don't I? I don't really want it. I don't want that car, but I could have it, but I don't want it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm waiting for the Subaru the Subaru Baja to come out if it ever does come out. You know, and then I might get that. But anyway, so you got to write down what it is you really want, visualize it, figure out a list of things that you need to either do or become or learn, skills. You're going to need new skills. Take action, be willing to say yes, revise the plan, visualize like you're already there, have a clear mental picture, draw it out, as you say, you know. And the truth is, you know, ChatGPT is great for all of this kind of stuff. So, you know, AI is amazing for this because it doesn't judge you. It just gives you what you tell it. You know, like that $1 million difference maker T-shirt design. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, so, and it's not judging us. Do you know what I mean? It's just saying, oh, here's what you asked for. You know, your wish is my command. Like your brain is that, your subconscious is that. Like you could actually use, you know, AI to say, right, okay, I want to put this plan together. What would be the best steps for me to take right now today? And it will tell you. You know, well, you're gonna have to if you're serious about it. Like I've done this before with ChatGPT when I've said, right, okay, I want to attract, let's say, 60 new people, you know, into our organization. What would be the best thing, you know, in 60 days, what would be the best way to do it? And it spat out a whole bunch of stuff, but it also told me how much it was going to cost. You know, I could do, you know, articles in magazines and things like this. You know, it was like, you know, it's going to cost me about $4,000. You know, well, okay, $4,000 are those 60 people worth that $4,000? Yeah, potentially, if they're the right 60 people. Do you know what I mean? But that's about having the right attracting tools. Do you know what I mean? Getting the right people, attracting the right people. So, you know, imagining the result, drawing it out, and this is where the determination and persistence comes in. And determination, when things are going well, you know, it doesn't matter. Determination and persistence don't really care. They're just not there. In fact, they're in a bunk bed sleeping somewhere. You know, the only time determination, you know, and persistence raise their head is when the shit's hitting the fan, is when it's going bad, when you're having a bad day. Do you know what I mean? You're getting bad results, you know, and that's when determination and persistence, that's when it wakes up, you know, and says, right, okay, when the going gets tough, now it's time to get going, right? Now it's time to really dig in and start working, you know. And this is where working hard on yourself, and you talk about this a lot, this is so important, but working hard on yourself actually should never be a distraction from actually doing the work, you know, the actual work to move you towards that goal. I don't know how many times in my life I've picked up a book to read rather than making that extra phone call. And then I'm just pretending, you know, like personal development, working on yourself is important, but it should never be an excuse for procrastination, for putting stuff off that you should be working on, right? Yeah. Working on yourself is important. You dedicate some time to it, but not your work time. When you're working, you should be working. So, you know, like it is, to be honest, listen, how does making a plan become so bloody complicated? Do you know what I mean? Make a plan, you know, write down what you really want, visualize, attract, act, say yes, revisit the plan, do, review. Do you know what I mean? Right, Joey, I'm going to get your final thoughts on this and go to town on it because I really want to hear what you've got to say, you know, and because you make a lot of sense to me. And just that writing down what you really want, the goal card is important. And so listen, coming right up. In fact, this is what Joey says. Intentionally act on the thing that you want. But in order to act on the thing that you want, you've got to know what it is that you want. So you've got to write it down.
Yeah.
Right.
So true.
This is Joey's final thoughts on plan your way to success, the power of clarity in action. Joey, take it away.
Mike, thank you very much for the opportunity to share our final thought tonight. You have make a lot of sense when you share your ideas and share what you learn from our podcast tonight, and also pre-study about what we're going to talk about tonight. And one of the things that you really, really helped me, because we all can got up in the week, and I'm guilty of it, and I know that's my human part. And sometimes when we got up in the weed and we don't work toward our goals, and we make excuses, we make things to justify our action, that why we don't get to where we want to go, to get the goals that we really want in life, because we don't do the activity that moving us forward toward what we really want in life. So tonight is plan your way to success, and the power of clarity in action is so important. We share with you tonight a simple way of doing it. Get out of your head, because everything happen in life, whether it's goals, whether it's a physical reward, whether it's a physical prosper, like living in a good area, nice house, earning good income, you name it. It's all come from an idea. Someone was thinking where I am now, how much I earn now, what kind of car I'm driving now, and where do I want, and what do I want in 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, or 20 years. That idea it's time to come out from our life, from ourselves. And it's waiting for you to make them alive. And I think Les Brown says something. Imagine in your deathbed, you know, all the gift that you have, like, I want to run more, I want to build a business, I want to invest in something, I want to help a lot of people, I want to contribute to a charity. All those gifts that within you, that they want to come to life, and you didn't act on it, and you didn't plan them or plant them so they can come to life, they all come to you and say, how dare you are for not letting us come out and share with the world what you have within you. And I think my good friend Mike McKillen said something today. You write it down, then you visualize it, and then you figure it out. One of the great things that I learned in my entrepreneur, or my, in the business world, like in network marketing, one of the great quote I found is, when someone presents you an opportunity, there's a reason why. Because of the person that you become. Maybe that you were thinking last year or today that you want to build a business, a global business. And out of the blue, someone pick up the phone and ring you, and he introduce you that, I have a gift, I want to share it with you. And when that person explain that opportunity, whether it's a form of, building an online business or marketing business, or, building a traditional business, because you attract that person, you have created that image in your mind, and maybe you didn't write it down, but you keep dream about it and think about it. Then someone appear in your journey and present that gift with you. A lot of people do. They say no, because they didn't see themselves in that conversation. And that's why Mike McKinnon said, you need to develop yourself for the person to become, to deserve that gift that within you. Because if you don't, you will say no to the opportunity, and that opportunity will pass through, and you just keep watching. And someone else have that vision like you, and he came and saw that vision once, and he said, okay, I'm gonna jump on that bus and see what he's gonna take me. We say no to a lot of opportunity in life because we didn't see ourselves on that opportunity. It won't happen overnight. It takes time. But what we learn, when someone presents you an opportunity, and it's aligned with what you really want in life and what you attracted in life, say yes. And you tell the world, tell your wife, tell your kids, tell your neighbor, tell the people that you work with. This is where I am now. I'm working in a warehouse, but I want to achieve this and this and this in 5 years. And when you tell that, you kind of create the success, the success image in yourself, and you go and work toward it, and you figure it out. It amazed me when I wrote my goal cards. How many years? 6, 7 years ago, that I'm gonna have this, that I'm gonna start a business. Have no idea, have no network, have no resources, have no mentor, no coaches, no books. But when I wrote that card down and then I visualized it and I worked backward and I said, what if 5 years from now I will achieve my goal? What if 5 years from now I'm having the business that I want to build? 5 years from now, I'm taking my family to places they never been played with. That seed that I planted 6, 7 years ago. It amazed me to how God work in a mystery way. And the reason why I share my faith everywhere I go, because I believe that we all come from somewhere and we are spiritual beings living in a physical body. And this is our co-creator part that within us that we decided this is what I really, really want. Because I came to this world with a purpose, not to improve the quality of my health or my journey or my prosperity and abundance, but to share with other people in life. And that's what I love what I do, because I know that when I'm healthy, when I achieve what I want in life, it's allowed me to have the physical result, like the money, that everywhere I go, I can help someone. I can bless someone with the thing that I have, because in 6, 7 years ago, I wrote down what I really want, and I say, yes, I'm going to do this. Then Mike McKillen says something very important tonight. You got to pay the price. Everything that you decide, that you think about it and want to accomplish in life, come with a price tag. And it's the same thing. If you want to buy a nice t-shirt, thanks for the idea, Mike, from the shop, you got to pay the price. You got to pay the price to get to end it. And in life, a lot of people don't want to pay the price. They think about something, maybe they wrote it down, but when the opportunity is presented to them, they say no because they don't want to pay the price. But the people who pay the price and keep and moving on and do the things and the activity and the action to get that goals will look back and say, the work was all worth it. The investment was all worth it. And I think that's what I want to leave tonight with you. Our episode for 138, plan your way to success and the power of clarity in action. Plan your way. And don't overcomplicate it. You have a great idea in your mind that you were born with. You need to get that idea out of your head into a piece of paper. Then you list down what you really want to accomplish, how you're gonna accomplish it, where you're gonna go and seek help and seek advice, or maybe in a local library, maybe in a book, maybe in a program, and pay the price. Start small and then elevate, and then improve from there. Plan, do, and review. Write down. Start doing something. Start acting on it. Someone invite you to go to an event. Take a look at some information. Please don't just shut the door straight away because you don't see yourself in the process. You see yourself in the process, and that's, I think, Mike, the best reward that I have in my journey is not the property, the number of the property that I accomplish in my journey, and the goal that I achieve financially or physically, but the person I became is the most important reward for me. If in 6 or 7 years ago, you should see me. I was not look like this. I was not talk like this. I didn't have the poster that I have today. But because I say yes, I tell the world, and I figure it out. And I start to attract the right people, to attract the right resources, the right book, the right information, the right friends. And I have a good friendship. You know, we were both strangers, but we become friends, and now we're like family. You know, we lean on each other, we encourage on each other, we cheering people, each other every single. Mike winning is my winning, and my winning is Mike winning, and that's how in life, when you plan your way to success, don't be surprised. God will put the right people in your path, you know, because God see the clarity that you create in your journey, and intentionally that you want to make an impact, especially positive impact in other people's life. So tonight, start planning. Get out of your head in a piece of paper. Maybe pray for it. You know, ask God for a little bit help. We all need God help in our journey, in our way to success, and in our daily life, and stay focused. Stay focused. The first rocket that went to the moon, we talk about it all the time. It didn't go in a straight line. It's zigzagging each way, but it correct each way. How it corrected? By the person you become, by the books you read, by the people you surround yourself with, by the mentor you choose, by the coaches you choose, by the people. And when you do that, things will go in the direction that you want to head in your life. I will finish with this. In our journey, we have a gift. And that gift is waiting for you and me to bring into this world, because there's a lot of people they are looking for that gift, and you and I are having that gift, and we need to share that with the world. And if I can ask you and myself and Mike McKillen something to do, as you plan your way to success and the power of clarity in action, to go out there and make a positive impact in other people's life. Mike, thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And thanks for our audience tonight, and also the people watching on replay. I hope what the gift that we share with you, you take it, you nourish it, you planted it, and you cultivate it, and you go and make a positive impact in other people's life.
Joey, amazing. Thank you so much. That was incredible. And it made me think of this, one of my most favorite quotes. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And that's a Buckminster Fuller quote, who was a philosopher and inventor back in the turn of last century, the 1900s. And Joey, you know, that was inspirational what we were talking about there. You know, you were talking about, in fact, I'll tell you what I heard. You know, you start off by saying don't get caught up in the weeds, you know, and how you've got to have this idea and nurture this idea, you know, and decide on what you want. Now that's, you know, and then it becomes about the vehicle that you're going to choose, right? This vehicle that you're going to choose to get you there, because maybe what you're doing isn't working, you know, and you need to do something else. And now do you have to give up what you're doing? No, is there something that you can maybe start, you know, outside of what you're already doing, so that you've got like a safety net? For sure. You know, so you need a new vehicle to achieve it. And then you've got to say, well, what if I could do this? What if I did this and it worked for me? You know, what if I read this book or learned this new skill? You know, how would it improve my life? You know, and why not you? Why not you? Like, you deserve it. You're no, you know, are we perfect? No, we're not. But we can be better, you know. So what if you did this? What if you went to this event? What if you went to this event and you got motivated, you got inspired, you know, to maybe change your life? You know, what does Joey say? You know, act on the things that you intentionally want. You know, like, listen, you know, for things to change, you've got to change. You know, this is what Joey will tell you. You know, you've got to have, you know, we've all got those ideas. You know, you've got to nurture them. And like Joey says, you know, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over time. So this is where, you know, that just thinking about it, visualizing it, see it in your mind. And then when those opportunities come along, just like they did for Joey, you know, he's thinking about this. He's thinking about these houses. How am I going to get these houses? How am I going to get this? How am I going to get that? And then he gets a phone call out of the blue saying, hey, yeah, we're doing a seminar on real estate. You know, would you like to come along? He could have said no, but he said yes. He said yes. What if you get a phone call this week and someone says, hey, listen, would you like to find out about this? Hey, listen, would you like to go out for dinner? Hey, listen, would you like to go out dancing? Hey, listen, would you like to see this, you know, business that I'm setting up? Yes. Why not? What if? Right. And why not you? I'm telling you. Right, go and check out Joey. You know where to find him. You can find him on Facebook. You can find him on his business website. Links are in the description. You can find me there too. And, you know, more power, Joe. I'm telling you what, you're on fire. You know, like, I love it. Right, I'm going to play out with my favorite video. Everything is in this video. Like, everything is in this video. Like, you should be watching this video along with reading your goal card, you know, and don't be afraid to write down your goals. You know, don't be afraid to write them down. Right? Because, you know, nothing's going to change otherwise. You're just going to keep getting what you've already got. And if you're not happy with what you have, you know, why do you think you're going to be fucking better off tomorrow? You're not. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be worse off tomorrow. Write down your goals today. Just take some action. Write them down. Read them. Get scared. You know, ball them up and then put them in your pocket and think, Jesus, I hope no one sees them. They're going to think I'm crazy. I don't care what they think. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Why not dream? Dream big. Right. See you next week.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.